Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
'Hello, how do you do? We are the boys in white and blue, and we're back with another episode of The Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And as always, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. We've got a packed show for you again this week. And we do. We've got a lot of great stuff to cover in the show. We're going to be talking the new Canadian Premier team out in Langley, in the Fraser Valley, Vancouver FC. We're going to hear a little bit of audio from owner Rob Friend. We've got an exclusive interview with new Vancouver FC head coach Afshin Ghotbi. We're going to hear from the CPL Commissioner Mark Noonan about the new team, and will there be 9 teams in the Canadian Premier League next season? We're also going to look at yesterday's MLS Cup final. We're going to chat about a couple of things that were covered in Don Garber's MLS annual State of the League address, and we're going to talk World Cup. We're going to talk some Canadian injuries, but most excitingly, and this is something that I've had in my back pocket for quite a while now, we're going to bring you a world premiere of the new, unofficial, although official for AFTN, Canada World Cup song. So that is all to come. But before we get into any of that, how has your week been, Zach?
Well, I mean, the gathering in Langley made it a special week, didn't it?
I think it did.
Which, I mean, I couldn't actually be there for all of it. It was an eventful night. I couldn't be there for all of it, so I showed up after I was able to complete my time at work. And then before I walked into the event, of course, I locked my keys in my vehicle, which made the night a long night, which was fine.
Made my night a long night as well. I would have left about half an hour before I did if I wasn't trying to help you out. And in the end, I didn't provide any help whatsoever, but there we go.
No, it's all good. I was thankful for a good friend who was able to drive me to get a spare set of keys. I should return to getting a BCAA membership again.
You should for stuff like that. I think you can join on the night though, and they would come and do it. So, I should probably suggested that to you on Wednesday, because I did try to get mine to help you out. It was going to be 90 minutes before they came, so. Yeah,
which seems appropriate, 90 minutes. But
for a football meeting, of course.
Exactly. No, that was a really, really fun night. Got to connect with people and see some of the stuff finally. And I guess we'll talk about that more later. But that's the footballing highlight of the week for sure.
Oh, definitely.
There's some footballing low points that we'll also get to later.
Yeah, we're certainly going to cover all of that in this show for sure. I hope I can get through this show with my voice holding out, because I was up at UBC this weekend doing the Canada West Final Four for both the men and the women, because of a quirk in results that saw all the Prairie Division teams lose in the women's quarterfinals, which meant UBC ended up hosting both the men's and the women's events. 8 games in 3 days and basically a 48-hour time period has really taken a toll on my voice, as you might hear in this one. But just want to say a massive well done to UBC Thunderbirds. Landed Canada West gold again for both the men and the women. absolutely fantastic few days of action up there. Looking forward to the Nationals that is coming up this week as well. Can they get gold medal in that? The women this season have been absolutely phenomenal, and it's been an absolute pleasure to do the commentary for the T-Birds this year. I am already missing it, and I wish I was heading off to either Laval for the women or Kamloops for the men. Although after a couple of people sent me pictures this evening of the snow in Kamloops, I think I might be quite glad that I'm not going. The pitch at Hillside, Victor Lizzie sent me a photo from yesterday. It's absolutely deep in snow, so that should be very interesting. The Nationals are going to be streamed on CBC Gem and on the CBC website. I think the final's actually going to be on CBC itself, but you can check out all that action this weekend. Now, let's kick off the show. And we're going to start off by talking about Canada and the World Cup. Zach, you and myself got a quick chance to chat with John Herdman at that event on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
As did our good friend Har, who told him not to play Lucas Cavallini. He just laughed that one off, though. Said he's one of the boys.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
He said, no, I think he also said, yeah, he's a good boy, or he's a great guy. Or yeah, I can't remember if I told you this, but some of the CSA people got in touch earlier about some of the Voyageurs banners that are in the Lower Mainland and stuff. Did I tell you about this?
Yeah, but tell the listeners.
So sent them all off or whatever. So when John was leaving there, he came over. It was good to connect. And I said, hey, the banners you requested, they've been sent, and I've seen that they've arrived or whatever, I think, by that point. I think they arrived on Wednesday. And he was like, oh, okay, sweet, great. He's like, we're going to put them up at the training ground to inspire their players, blah, 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 that, everyone's backing them, supporting them. And then he was like, oh, yeah. Like, he's like, are you going to be in Qatar? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's the plan, yeah. And so then he's like, okay, we got to connect on this, and there's some stuff we want to do, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, okay, sweet. So looking forward to, hopefully connecting over there, at the matches, obviously, but maybe for some other stuff as well.
I also wanted to just say that I'm looking forward to connect with John next year as well, because he's going to come on the show.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yes, and he confirmed that. It was his idea. It wasn't me pushing him to do it. So, yeah, looking forward to that. I was thinking, we've actually got our 10th year anniversary coming up in March of the podcast.
Right.
I don't make a big deal of this because maybe I should, but we are the longest consecutive running soccer podcast in at least Canada. I'm not sure about the rest of North America because I'm not sure about the American podcast, but definitely in Canada, for the podcasts that are still going, we're the longest running soccer podcast.
There you go.
So we celebrate our 10th anniversary in March next year. So it's going to be a special month. We're going to have a special number of shows. So we'll have John on chatting about his experience at the World Cup and a lot more besides for that next year. Of course, World Cup, John was flying off to Qatar right after that event in Langley on Wednesday night, which was crazy. He couldn't get away. Everyone wanted selfies. Everyone wanted to talk to him, but he got away in the end. He got on his flight there. Canada's heading off to Bahrain. They announced their squad this week for that match, and it's going to be an MLS domestic heavy squad with a couple of other players here and there, as obviously other players can't get released because it's out with a window, and the league campaigns are still in full flow, as we sadly know from a couple of incidents this week.
Yeah.
We won't delve into that game too much. The squad for the World Cup is going to get announced before the Japan friendly that's coming up as well. So not sure if we'll get a chance to speak to Zach about that before he heads off to Qatar. We'll hopefully speak a bit more to Zach about his Qatar trip next week. But let's look at 3 big stories around injuries this week in the Canadian national team. First of all, it was confirmed that after an injury he picked up playing for Jan Regensburg, defender Scott Kennedy ruled out with a shoulder injury.
I know a lot of people might be like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. He didn't play that much," but I think he's a huge loss to the squad, because I think he gave them a couple of important options. One is he's a left-footed center back, which they have very limited. I think is Derek the only other one that I can think of like that they've had in the pool. So that's huge. He's also I haven't watched a lot of Jan Regensburg, unfortunately, not for lack of trying, but I know he's quite a quick center back, and I know we have a number of relatively quick center backs, but he is quite quick, especially for his size. And so, and the games he played in, he did like exceptionally
He
well. Like
did. I think he played 8 games over the last 2 years.
yeah, and so I just gutted for him. So sad for him. Uh, yeah,
I mean, and like genuinely, and we're obviously going to come to this. Any player on any squad right now that picks up an injury in the build up to a few weeks or months out of this World Cup, it is absolutely heartbreaking because for some of them, it may be their only opportunity to ever play at a World Cup. And you just hate to see that. In Scott Kennedy's case, I mean, he was going to be probably a backup. You look at the defenders that's ahead of him. You've got Kamal Miller, Stephen Vittoria, Alistair Johnston.
Oh yeah, he was never going to start.
No, I mean, he's a depth thing, but as you say, like an injury suddenly thrusts him in. A suspension suddenly thrusts him in. He was a key depth player, and I think he will be very much missed by that. It sounds from what John Herdman was saying about it in a midweek conference call that it might be opening the door for Daniil Henry to go, which I've got a couple of concerns about. Obviously, regular listeners will know I'm not a huge fan of Daniil Henry's playing abilities, but he hasn't been playing that much, and that is a concern for me. I'd rather see Derek Cornelius there, to be honest.
Yeah, though I can't remember if we talked about this before, but supposedly, right, one of the things about Daniel Henry is how shall I phrase this? His placement within the Brotherhood. Like he plays a significant role within the community of players. That's like, so even if he's not playing or whatever, like he's very much he has an influence, a positive influence on the camaraderie, the connectivity of the players. And so he is that kind of player that I can see being brought solely like not solely, but his selection being aided by that. So yeah, I think
I can see that. I don't like that. I'd rather have a player picked on ability.
No,
I mean,
of course.
He's got the experience, which, I mean, that is a big tick for him.
And sorry, I'm forgetting, of course, Kamal Miller is also left-footed center back. So yeah, he is the starting, usually left-footed center back. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't begrudge Daniel getting the opportunity to be involved. Like I think he played in some of the games. He made contributions in qualifying, and I think you want guys there who are going to help with some of those intangible things in terms of just the feel, the vibe, the momentum, the ambition within the group. So I'm happy for him to be there. I agree with you. Like Daniel, like any player, is prone to make mistakes. And I know you would argue maybe more than others, but no, I'm not disappointed because again, also he would not be going as a starter, right? He'd be going there as someone who might fill in or might come on if they were, had a late lead or an injury or whatever, that kind of stuff. So I don't think all the things you're concerned about when it's playing. Plus, if they need someone at right back, he can always do that too.
I've just had some flashback memories come to his time here at the Whitecaps. Let's quickly move on then, shall we? Because this weekend has not been a good weekend for national team players and World Cup hopes. Although it's not looking maybe as bad as it was, I think, when we all went to bed on Saturday night. Now, two big injury stories on Saturday. As I say, one confirmed now to be out, and one, better news, confirmed today on Sunday. So let's start with the certainty, and I genuinely find this absolutely heartbreaking for him.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching the MLS Cup live. We're going to talk about the MLS Cup in part 3, so we won't get into the ins and outs of the game. But someone had sent me a message, and right away, because I was trying to avoid the score, but because of what the message was, I had to go and see, because it was like...
Was that the message from Steve?
No.
Oh, someone else.
Someone else went, Max has broken his leg. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my. So, yep, Max Kripal may have won an MLS Cup, but he's not going to Qatar, at least as a player. I'm also pretty sure he won't even really be able to fly right now, even just to go and be part of the group. It appears that he's shattered a shin bone from a tackle that saw him sent off as well, and we'll get into all that side of it in extra time off Saturday's final. LAFC sent a press release out today saying that he's undergone successful surgery. He's going to be out for a while, obviously, after a tackle on Philadelphia Union's Corey Burke late in that game. I mean, it's heartbreaking for him. He's still only 28, so, I mean, you've got to think he's still very much going to be in the mix, probably as the starter for the 2026 World Cup, but you can never say never in this game. You never know who's suddenly going to have a great season. He might not have a great season. He might get overtaken in the pecking order, all that kind of stuff, but oh man, it's just, you've just got to feel for him.
Oh, it was tragic. Yeah. Yeah. I also was not able to watch the game live, and so I saw Steve's message, and I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
And
I thought it
was about something else at first.
I haven't watched any of the graphic replays either that's doing around. I don't want to.
Yeah, I've only seen. I mean,
I saw the one from distance where it happens. I don't want to see anything more than that.
Well, right when it happened too, I said to Kirk, I was just like, "Oh, Kirk, his leg is broken. His leg or his ankle are broken."
He just looked in so much pain when he was getting dealt with as well. He was grabbing the guy that was doing it.
Yeah.
I like, to shatter your shin bone like that. I just cannot imagine the pain you must be going through. Adrenaline's going to help a tiny, tiny bit, but
see, because I haven't like rewatched any of the slow-mos or the whatever. So, well, we can talk about when we get to the game.
Yeah. Well, you saw the pain that Burke was in from the challenge as well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he's a lucky lad that he didn't come off worse by the looks of that. But yeah, I mean, you've worked all year. We've spoken to Max for a couple of years about World Cup, and just to miss out like this,
it's tragic.
I mean, obviously it opens the door now. Minnesota United's Dane St. Clair, Montreal's James Pantemis. Got to feel that they're going to be the two keepers that go now with Milan Borjan.
Yeah. There's no one else, right? Pantemis has been.
I was thinking about that. As to, is there somebody playing over in Europe that I'm missing here? But I think it's got to be one of those two. The run that Montreal had this year, Pantemis has got to be in that mix.
Well, and that's what. So yeah, there's form is obviously one part of it, but again, I think Herdman, a significant element for him is what has been the player's role in the group, in the qualification and stuff. And Pantemis has been there before, right? Like he's in
the Bahrain squad as well.
No, but I mean before that, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah, he's been involved. Yeah,
and I can't think of another keeper that's had a spot with him.
Marco Carducci.
No, but like in this qualification,
I know.
Yeah, I guess Kurt. Yeah,
he did get called up for one of the games, but yeah.
But
I mean, that's the tragic news for Max. I say we'll get into the MLS Cup side of it in part 3. The morning yesterday, I woke up to a message from you, and right away I gathered what it was, because you hadn't said what it was.
No.
But I was like, someone's happened to Fonzie. And I immediately went on Twitter to see what it was. Yours was the first message I saw when I woke up on Saturday morning about anything. And then I went and checked that, and it's like, oh,
I was a little surprised you were awake, actually. That you responded so quickly.
I had to be. I was commentating in an hour's time.
Oh, right.
But yeah, Fonzie limped off in Bayern's game against Hertha Berlin in the 64th minute, holding his hamstring. Just pulled up, and I think he kind of did well in that he did pull up, and I think if he tried to carry on or gone at full pelt at all, it was going to be gone, and I think he would have been missing time at the World Cup. He may have saved his World Cup for the way that he dealt with that and the way that Bayern dealt with that.
Yeah, it's funny to hear you give some to give that type of analysis. There's other people who I don't really want to talk about on our show that have given different
Oh, I
analysis.
put that in the rundown. I thought you'd
No,
love to
no,
talk about that.
no,
Yeah,
no.
let's not give him any airtime.
I'm
I
gonna,
read that after you sent that message this morning because I had no idea what you were
yeah,
talking
I'm
about.
gonna address that on Twitter this week at some point
But
because,
I was like, wow.
yeah, that
I
that
mean, Bayern's not going to issue a statement today saying, and for anyone that hasn't seen this, well, just to explain what we're talking about, Bayern issued a statement this morning, Sunday morning, saying that Fonzie will miss the next 2 Bayern games,
yeah,
but he will not miss the World Cup.
yeah,
Now, they're not going to issue a statement like that unless they've done a proper medical check.
yeah. Well, he had a scan or scans done or whatever.
Now,
So,
obviously, things can get worse in
oh,
training or
totally.
whatever,
Yeah, his recovery can have issues, but as
but
of right now, it looks like
I think a collected sigh of
I
relief
really
across Canada
well.
when that news came out this morning.
Well, there were one of the things that happened. One of the immediate fallouts of hey, he's injured, he could be out. It was there seemed to be a significant uptick in resales of Canada match tickets on the FIFA resale site.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know the actual numbers, but some of the people I'm in conversation with about the tournament were like, "Hey, if anyone needs tickets, now's the moment to try and get them."
Oh, wow. And
But
now
then
it's gone again. They've probably all been taken
exactly.
down.
So the joke today was like, "Oh, I wonder how many of those people regret having sold their tickets, right?" Because it's not you're not making money off it. You're actually losing money when you resell them. You're losing 5% or 10% or whatever it is. So like there's service fees or whatever, right? But yeah.
Wow. I mean, Max obviously missing, Scott Kennedy missing. There's some growing list of big name players and key players that's missing for various teams. I mean, I had a quick look just to name 4 that stood out for me. France are missing Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante, amongst a couple of others as well. Germany are missing Timo Werner as well.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. I wasn't sure if he was a good one or a bad one for you guys.
Well, I mean, he's played most of his professional career at Dead Bull, so I don't really fancy that. I mean, he does provide pace and all, but I mean, most people who follow European football know him from his what they would probably be deemed a failed stint at Chelsea. And he's back at Dead Bull now. But no, here's the thing. Again, not to go into these other comments directly, but let's maybe address them indirectly. So if people are frustrated about these injuries and these top players not being at the World Cup, I think there's a couple of things we need to address or whatever. Number one, at every World Cup, there are players missing because they've been injured in the season or at the end of the season, or this happens every tournament. Now, you could argue maybe it feels like there's more this time, whatever. In terms of placing your frustrations or your blames, I think the only place you can do that, I think the most appropriate place you can do that is FIFA itself and not the clubs with the fixture congestion and whatever, or the leagues themselves, right? These leagues have to get these competitions in certain periods of time. And I think, yeah, everyone has felt or knows that the fall schedule has been condensed more so than usual, right? Like they've already played a whole group stage of all the European competitions, and that usually goes into December.
Yeah, right before Christmas.
So they've squished that. There's been virtually every week has had 2 games as opposed to only some. Having 1 or 2 weeks here or there where top teams would only have one. No midweek game. But again, I think if you're frustrated with that or you're angry with that, I think the you need to place your frustration in the right place, and I think that lies at the feet of FIFA, not at a team or the leagues, because
absolutely, because
their hands are tied.
Also, I think what a lot of people here don't take into account, like in many places around the world, it's club before country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, which is understandable. That's who's paying these.
Well, that was my next thing, because that's the other point is the club are paying these people's wages. It's like they're employees of this club, and then they're going off to play for a country, and they're the ones that then shoulder the burden of it if they go and get injured playing for their national team, because they've then got to replace the player, but yet still pay the player.
Like, I know football is a unique profession, or sport in general is a unique profession, but there are very, the way it works out in football, or maybe you could say, with the NBA and how they did all those big teams for the United States at the Olympics, and maybe ice hockey a little bit as well. There's very few, I can't think of many other examples where it's like your primary payer allows you to take a break from work to go and do the same thing you're doing for them somewhere else, for someone else, essentially, right? Like, it's a very unique structure. It's a very unique
it is.
thing. Now, obviously, they can gain benefits from it in terms of it raising, the players' values and whatever. I mean, it's not all generosity and whatnot.
And for the players themselves, especially like a team from Canada,
the
so
players
many
want
of
to be
them
there,
know
of course.
that they can seal a deal to Europe if they stand out at this World Cup.
Yeah, the players want to be there, of course, because of the stage that it is. But it's an important element that people, I think, probably maybe in North America overlook, that, hey, this is the wages are being paid by the clubs, and the clubs are like have a significant say in what happens and how it happens and when it happens and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think the biggest omission of all, and the squad that's suffering the most, is Scotland's missing 26 players at this World Cup. And I just find that tragic.
Wait, does that mean Ryan Gold has a chance?
He might. Do you know what? Scotland could be down to the bare bones, as they were in their recent Nations League games, and he still can't get a call up. But it's okay, because he's going to play for Canada.
Could you? So maybe not about Ryan Gold, because because he's in the squad. I was going to. You should do an article like Steve Clark includes Ryan Gold in World Cup squad. As just like a clickbait, funny one of your funny.
Well, considering that was just a fun throwaway question that I gave to Ryan last week about switching to Canada, and then it made all the headlines in Scottish papers. I was like, oh, okay.
So that's totally just from your question, right?
It's absolutely just from my question. And I've got it was partly just a little bit jokey around, but I also wanted to plant the seed in his head that this is a possibility.
Michael, sometimes you catch yourself before you say something, and I won't say what I was going to say because it'll be taken wrong. I was going to say if you're nothing else, Michael, you're at least a seed planter.
I most certainly am. But that is it for our chat about the World Cup injuries, and it has been a little bit doom and gloom this week in that side from a Canadian point of view. So why don't we bring the mood up now and have a feel-good Canadian World Cup story, because we're going to bring you now a world exclusive, a Canadian World Cup song by friend of the show, Neil Grant. We'll be back with that song and chatting to Neil after this.
Hi, I'm Alphonso Davies, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our new Artist of the Month here at AFTN for the month of November. English band, Suede, or as they have to get called over here, the London Suede, because there was another trademarked artist with the name Suede. They hate having to call themselves the London Suede, so Suede is who they are. And that was their debut single from 1992, The Drowners. And you can find that on their debut self-titled album from the following year as well. And I said last week that I had a toss-up between what band we were going to have as our final Artist of the Month for this year. And I say that because in December, I've got something a little bit special happening, but we'll get to that.
Are you playing all the Christmas songs I've always wanted?
No, it's not Christmas related.
Hanukkah songs?
No, it's not Hanukkah related either.
Kwanzaa songs?
It's something I've thought about doing for a while, and I may as well just tell you now. What the hell? You've lured it out of me. It didn't take much. John Peel, an icon to me in the music and DJ radio world. He always had his Festive 50, where listeners voted for their favourite 50 tunes that had been released that year. Initially when he did it, it was any song from any year and they could go up and down. But then he changed it. It had to be songs that were released that particular year, and viewers voted. They wrote in with who they wanted. Now, obviously, I'm not going to throw this open to the viewers or to you either. So I'm coming up with AFTN's Festive 15. And I'm going to be playing over December my 15 favourite songs from 2022. They could be singles, could be album tracks. Just going to put them in an order from 15 to 1, and that's how we're going to do that. But for this month, it is Suede. And I've played them, I've picked them, because I went to see them on Thursday night at the Commodore. Them and Manic Street Preachers in a co-headlining show, and what an absolutely fantastic gig. Gig of the year for me. The energy that Brett Anderson and Suede brought was absolutely phenomenal, from first song to last. Their new album, Autofiction, go listen to it. It's absolutely fantastic. Best album, I feel, since their debut album. They're back to their best form. So we're going to have them over this month. 2 songs in this episode from Suede. That was The Drowners to kick off this part. But we're going to keep the musical theme going now, because I've been teasing it, mentioned it in the last couple of weeks, but we now have a world exclusive to bring you here at AFTN, as we're going to bring you a song written for Canada for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. And a little bit of a background to this. After Canada qualified, we were chatting on the show and I said to Zach, we've got to get a Canadian World Cup song written. So I put some feelers out to a friend of the show, Neil Grant, and he'd been thinking about who to have as a team to follow if Scotland weren't going to be at the World Cup, and he had gone with Canada.
Yes.
And it all tied in. He wasn't sure about writing it, so I gave him a bit of encouragement, pushed him. He's come up with a great song. You've heard it, Zach. What's your thoughts on it?
I like the lyrics. I think it's.
I know the style of music's not really your kind of
the style of music.
song.
Yeah, it's not totally my cup of tea, but I definitely appreciate the effort, and I think I can see this playing nonstop on match days at your house.
It's been playing non-stop in my head since you sent it to me a few weeks ago. I've been sitting on this for a few weeks, but the release date is November 7th, so we've had to hold it on until this episode.
Well, I think what's that song you always play when we do Canada interviews?
Oh, the Yummy for Canadian Flag.
Yeah, I think you're going to use clips from this song in addition to that in the future.
I still love the Yummy for.
No, I know, but I think you'll do some variation.
Maybe.
Or it's not variation. You'll use some maybe the Yummy for will be the intro and this will be the outro, or vice versa.
Well, everyone's going to be thinking, what are you talking about? Let us hear this song that you're talking about. Well, we're going to play it shortly, but before we do that, I want to welcome back to the show. He was on our show in, I think it was July 2021, the last time we spoke to him, just talking about the art of writing football songs. So welcome back to the show, Neil Grant.
Thanks, Michael. Great to be back. I think it's been 2 years since I was last on.
Yeah, I was having a look, and we had you on the last time because Scotland's first and foremost songwriter of football music. I think that's what your Twitter bio says anyway.
Well, I think I changed it to Europeans. It gets broader every week, but no, certainly in Scotland anyway. I don't know anyone that's been crazy enough to write more football songs than me.
Yeah. So we'll not go into all your history because folk can listen to our earlier show and listen to that. But a quick summary then for anyone that hasn't heard or doesn't want to listen to the old show. Tell us what your musical background is.
My musical background is mainly heavy metal music, late 80s thrash, early 90s death metal, classic rock, but then I've kind of dipped into progressive rock and jazz and even brought up playing, Scottish bagpipe music and things like that as well, and alternative experimental music. So a broad range, basically everything except pop and dance music and techno.
That could be the new stuff you can get into as you get older. It's like you'll be like, oh, let's I've not hit those ones yet. Let's do some techno songs.
That's it. Never rule anything out, Michael.
Well, you've written a number of football songs, and a number of them could probably get put to a techno beat. And folk are going to be, for anyone that hasn't heard Neil's stuff before, which we have played a few songs on the show over the years, so hopefully you have heard them. You might be like, why is somebody that's into death metal on the show? Well, you've written a football song, another football song for Canada, for the World Cup, for the journey, the first time Canada being back at the World Cup since 1986. And we're excited to have the world premiere of it on the show this week. People are going to think, why is a Scottish guy, and you're based in Sweden as well, so we'll point that out. Why is a Scottish guy based in Sweden writing a song for Canada about the World Cup? So why are you, Neil?
Well, for a start, it's a great question. For a start, Scotland aren't in it.
Sadly.
I did a Scotland one the last time for the Euros.
I thought you were going to say you did one for this, optimistically thinking ahead.
Not this time. But I'm just a football fan, and I love writing songs for countries I take a liking to. And I think it's hard to deny that there's such a strong comparison with my country, Scotland, and Canada. Mainly the fact we don't always qualify for these major tournaments. Now, I know it's been, I'm watching from afar and seeing Canada get so close each time. And, after this, 36-year drought, they finally did it. And so there's that side of it. And there's also, obviously, Canada and Scotland have so many historic links as well. So I find them a likeable nation, and I thought, well, if I'm going to choose a country to write a song for, then why not Canada? And I think we had a wee chat a couple of months ago, Michael, and I mentioned it to you, and you were, of course, encouraging me to do it. So that was like the tip of the iceberg. So that was it. So away I went, and here we are.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. We'll play it at the end of our chat for everyone to hear, and then we'll mention where everyone can find it as well. And the art, we spoke a little bit about this when you were on the last time, the art of writing a football song. I mean, when you're a Hearts fan, and you've written a song for Hearts, it's been played at Tynecastle, it's been used in videos and stuff, but Hearts, when it's a club you've got a very strong connection with, it's easy to write a song because it just flows from the heart. How did this process work for you? Was it quite easy to come up with it in the end?
Well, quite easy. Yeah, I mean, you have to work at it, but I would never approach writing a song if I didn't have something in my heart for it. So with that in mind, then you just go into it the best you can. And I just kind of tweaked away at it until I had something that I felt was, honest enough and catchy enough without pretending to be Canadian, but still having, the love for the team and the country.
And the thing is, back in the last time they qualified in 1986, there was an unofficial Canadian World Cup song released, and it had a very Scottish flair to it, because there is a lot of Scottish connections with Canada, especially on the East Coast and Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and stuff, and you can't walk around here without hearing bagpipes. which I thought I'd got away from that moving from Scotland. But there's more bagpipes, it seems, in Canada than there is in Scotland. With one of the local universities, Simon Fraser University, have regularly won the Scottish or the World Pipe Band Championships as well. So all that kind of stuff, there's a lot of connections there. And I was glad to see you didn't have bagpipes in this song. But what you have written is a very catchy song. I definitely think it's an earworm. I've had it in my head since you sent it to me about a month or so ago. And I hope folk like it. I hope folk do find it as enjoyable and catchy as I do. Because for me, for a football song, you don't. It's different from writing a normal song, because I think you've got to go for the catchiness, because that's the best football songs, especially World Cup songs. I think they've got that catchy vibe to it, and your song's definitely got that.
Oh, thanks for that, Michael. Yeah, forgetting what the question was here.
Yeah, just writing catchy songs. It's like the art of a football song. So if you're writing a football song, it's all about the hook. It's all about the catchiness, having a repeating phrase that is going to stick in fans' heads.
Yeah, that's definitely the idea. Sometimes it's harder than others, but I'll always try to think about or imagine fans in the terrace singing it, and for it to try and become like a mantra in a way. That's the idea, because you know how football fans work. They want something that's easy to remember and easy to chant, and obviously the words themselves have to tie in with that, and you have to be singing something that's you're kind of believing in, and like a we mentality instead of an I mentality. That's always the vibe I try to get across, and that's probably why I always or often have crowd chants in the choruses. You really get a feel that you're in the crowd, and so that's part of my approach, really.
The song, it's called Nobody Believed Us, Canada World Cup song. You can find it on all the places. I'm taking it Spotify and iTunes, Apple Music.
Everything, it's pretty much all the music platforms, Deezer and Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, pretty much everything. I think it's all covered, so it should be everywhere.
Well, we'll throw some links up on the website as well to where folk can download it. So before we actually talk anymore, let's just play the song so you can hear what we are talking about. So this is Neil Grant, Nobody Believed Us, Canada's unofficial World Cup song.
Nobody believed us. Nobody believed us. We're on our way. We're on our way. We'll supply the action. We'll supply the action. And you bring the beer 'cause we're off to Qatar. Canada, let's go.
So that was Nobody Believed Us by Neil Grant, our unofficial Canada World Cup song. We hope you like it. Let us know on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Neil, where can folk find you on Twitter?
Neil Grant 19.
So you can get in touch with Neil on Twitter as well. Hopefully you do like it. We would like your genuine feedback as to what you think. The song is getting released on November 7th. So this show is coming out on November 7th. So it ties in perfectly. You can find it on all the usual places there. Just a few more things to chat about. So, I mean, the World Cup, it's... The timing of it, for being in Sweden, Neil, is most certainly better than the games here. But the games are kicking off at 2 a.m. Vancouver time, 5 a.m, 8 a.m, and 11 a.m. for a lot of the group games, which is a nightmare. Canada's games, though, are 7, 8, and 11, I believe, Pacific time. So that is not at least as bad. But yeah, are you looking forward to this? I know it's a weird one because it's moved to the winter. There's the cloud hanging over it with it being in Qatar, but it is a World Cup.
Yeah, I think I'm like most other people. I find it all a bit surreal that there's actually going to be a World Cup in 2 weeks' time. So I find it hard to believe there actually is going to be a World Cup. I think when it starts, I'll be pinching myself thinking, okay, this is it, World Cup. But yeah, of course, I'm looking forward to the World Cup. It's just wall-to-wall football for a couple of weeks. Our wives are going to love it, and
yeah, I've hardly seen my wife for the last couple of weeks with all the commentary stuff I've been doing, and now it's like, well, it's World Cup. I've made sure I'm not working during it, so it's going to be like, it's condensed as well. So, I mean, you've basically got wall-to-wall games, and there's like 3-4 games a day, which, I mean, hopefully it goes well. I know there's, like Zach that I do the show with, he's going over to Qatar, so I mean, that should be fun. And you won't have seen a lot of Canada, obviously, in it, but has Canada got your heart for this World Cup?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Well, I mean, especially now I've written this song and I've been keeping an eye on their performance, and I think there's a couple of decent players that could ruffle a few feathers there. I think the world's underestimated Canada a little bit. I think the two boys, is Alphonso Davies, I think he plays with Bayern, and
Yep.
The other lad, Jonathan David. I mean, the midfield, the attackers, I mean, Belgium are a nightmare to play against. The big game is probably against Morocco. If they can get a win there, then, it's looking really positive. So we'll see how far. I mean, it would be a huge massive achievement if Canada could progress from the group. But
Well, yeah, some of Scotland's never managed.
Thanks for reminding me. But I think Canada's goal is just to, do themselves proud and show that they're a, decent football nation. I'll be cheering Canada all the way this World Cup.
Yeah, it should be a good one. It is. I genuinely thought Scotland were going to get to it for the first time since '98. I mean, we're of a same kind of age, and like when we grew up, it's like Scotland was at every World Cup. You kind of expected it. In Canada, you've got generations that haven't seen Canada at a World Cup. I remember them back at the '86 World Cup in Mexico. I've got my Panini sticker album from then, completed with my Canadian team, and just to be in the country now and have it there, it's exciting seeing the young kids just genuinely excited because they can see their team at a World Cup and they can aspire to be the next Alphonso Davies or the next Jonathan David and come through the ranks. But the other thing, of course, when we were growing up is we were used to World Cup songs. And I guess just really to wrap this up, what are the World Cup songs over the years that have kind of resonated most with you?
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't hear all that many other than the ones where I was living, because I don't think World Cup tunes were obviously not so big a thing if they were coming from other countries, because it's only relevant to the country you're in.
That's true, I guess. It's like in the both growing up in Scotland and the UK, obviously England was at a lot of the World Cups, and Northern Ireland were as well. Wales, not so much, but they are this year. So I guess it is going to be very UK centric. But what's your favourite Scotland World Cup song then?
Well, if I had to choose a Scotland one, it's probably I think it was Andy Cameron.
Ali's
either-
Tartan Army.
Well, it's a tie between that one and I Have a Dream. The one where they've got the guy commentating a goal during the song.
Yeah,
We Have
that's
a
probably
Dream.
my favourite. I've played that in our wavelength section before. Andy Cameron's one, you can't get more Scottish than that. Ali's Tartan Army going off to win the World Cup in Argentina, and then it all going horrible.
Oh, well, they all went horrible. I mean, the better song is probably the one that you like.
Yeah, We Have a Dream.
We Have a Dream, but I think the lyrics in Ali's Army are they're just cults now in Scotland, because this was you've got to remember at that time Scotland qualified for the World Cup and England didn't. So in the song, in the lyrics, there's a line that goes, England didn't make it because they didn't qualify. So it was a wee dig at the English in the song, which was quite funny, and I think it was loved a bit extra for that in Scotland, for that bit of banter.
I've not actually played that one on the show, but this month in our wavelength section we are going to have World Cup songs. So I'll play that one actually. So I'll stick that one in next week so folk know what we're talking about. But it's been great to chat to you again, Neil. It's been great to listen to the song. As I said, let us know your feedback on it. You can get it in all the usual places from November 7th. Nobody Believed Us by Neil Grant. Before we go though, I want to give a plug to your band over in Sweden as well, because you've got a new single coming out with that band and an album to come as well on November the 11th. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a band, a Swedish-based band in Gothenburg that I joined. They're called Dunringel, and named after an old Scottish fort, actually. It's the style of music is Nordic folk with some doom and metal, and it's quite alternative, but it's a very interesting album that's coming out. So there's a single coming out on the 11th of November called Awakening, and then it'll be followed by 2 other singles before part 1 of this double concept album comes out next autumn 2023, and then the following autumn 2024 will be part 2 of the concept album. So a lot of things are planned out for me for the next few years, so I might even squeeze another few football songs in that time too, if time permits.
Yeah, I have to task you to do an East Fife one at some point.
Oh, you did. I mean, I should. I mean, if you put me in touch with your pals at East Fife, I might just do that.
I will. We'll definitely do that. Then we'll get you to do a Whitecaps one as well. Actually,
Of
there's a new team starting here in Vancouver FC in the Canadian Premier League. They kick off next April. We've been chatting about them on the show this episode as well. Maybe we can get you in touch with them. You could come up with an official theme for them or something.
Yeah, or maybe intro music or something like that, something different.
What I'm hoping they adopt for that, because they play in a place called the Fraser Valley, I want them to go with the Skids into the Valley.
Ah, yeah, I see
Now,
that.
to me, that is your run-out song.
Ah, well, it's they've got the job then already.
Yeah, but we can get you to do the official song for them. We'll put you in touch.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can get done. So thanks so much for chatting again with everything, Neil. Check out the song.
Pleasure, Michael. Thanks for having me on.
That's great. Thanks, Neil. Thanks so much to Neil Grant for joining us back on the show. As Neil mentioned there, the song out November 7th, the day that this podcast is coming out. You can get it in all the usual places, Spotify, iTunes. It's not maybe going to be on Bandcamp, but we're working on that to get it. We also want to get this song out there to people, so share it with your Canadian buddies, the Voyagers. Zach sent it to the Voyagers. Neil asked if you could get in touch with them, let them hear it. We would love if any of the local media or national media wanted to chat to Neil as well, get in touch. I will put you in touch, give him his email address, OneSoccer, TSN, whatever. We want to get that song out there. Let us know your thoughts. I know it won't be for everyone, but let us know your thoughts. I genuinely love it. So that was our good news Canada story, but that is it really for our World Cup chat. We're going to turn our attention now to the domestic game here in Canada and North America. We're starting off in Canada. We touched on it at the start of the show. A big launch this week for the newest CPL team, Vancouver FC. And we'll be back chatting about all of that after this.
This is Atiba Hutchinson, and you're listening to the AFTN show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's the second of tonight's songs from our new Artist of the Month here at AFTN for the month of November. From England, it's Suede, with another song taken from their 1993 self-titled debut album. It was the first song on the album, also their fourth single to be released. It peaked at number 22 in the UK charts. That was So Young. And as I mentioned, Zach was at Suede on Thursday night at the Barrowlands. Absolutely fantastic gig.
Yeah, what did you wear?
Oh, obviously, corduroy.
And your shoes?
Yes. No, I didn't wear anything. I had my top off, swinging it about, all the things you're not going to be able to do in Qatar.
Wait. You were swinging a top and blocking someone's view behind you of the show?
No, I was at the back.
I thought I had you there.
Also, neither of those things happened. I wasn't at the back and I wasn't swinging a top, but I was about 4 to 6 rows from the front. It was a lot of fun.
I knew neither of those things sounded true.
I was a bit worried about going to the show because it was meant to be at the P&E Forum and they hadn't sold all their tickets. Because I think big bands in the UK from the 90s maybe don't resonate as much with the young kids in 2022 here in Vancouver. But it was a great crowd. It was an older crowd, I've got to say. But both the Manics and Suede put on a fantastic show. They're playing across North America at the moment. I know we've got listeners all across North America. If they're coming to your town, even if you're not very familiar with them, go see them because it was 2 absolutely tremendous shows. And it was 2 fantastic nights as well for me last week. Thursday night at that concert. Wednesday night, it was the launch of Vancouver FC. Soar, little eagle, soar.
Yeah,
Which,
so what, like,
it did clarify to us what the bird was on the crest. It is.
I know you're super excited it's the Eagles because I know you love Eintracht Frankfurt.
Well, I can also play the song by former Artist of the Month, 80s Matchbox, Beeline Disaster. I'm gonna rise like an eagle. Who we usually play for Crystal Palace, the other Eagles. Is that going to be the nickname, do you think, for the club? Rob Friend said he's going to let the fans come up with the nickname for the Vancouver FC Pacific FC derby. Should he let them come up with a nickname for the club? Is the Eagles too lazy just to go for that?
Oh, I think one of the things I liked about what they did, which is how they have the logo, but they have these like other images, like they did in Pacific. You know, they have the main
Yes.
image of the island, and then the trident is really good. So I think it'll be. I think it would be similar in terms of names. Obviously, Eagles is going to be one, whether it's the one, the only one, the recognized one, the
Well,
official.
they have
whatever.
the letter branding as well, which
Yeah.
I don't like.
Well,
It's
the
like,
VFC, the VFC part.
yeah, the intertwining letters.
I like that actually. That's
See, well, that seemed to be the one that most people loved most from just chatting to various people on Wednesday, and we're talking about it. It's like, what ones do you like? They're saying, what ones do you like? And I just don't like that style of branding where it's just the letters. Houston Dynamo went with that. Dulwich Hamlet over in England had
But-
changed from their crest to that, which was their original one back in the 1800s.
But the Houston
I just
one,
don't like it.
The Houston one and the New England Revolution one, they feel like baseball logos. This feels to me more football-y, but that's because it reminds me of a couple things. But so in terms of name, I think the Eagles will be a natural thing that will probably come up. But I think there is the likelihood or the possibility of there being other names or other things used to describe the club. But we'll see.
Well,
We'll see how
I've
things
seen
progress.
various descriptions of what the eagle looks like in the middle of the crest. We won't go into those just now. I don't know if you saw any of those on Twitter. Oh,
No.
One of them is just if you turn it another way, it looks like a big L. So already the Pacific fans are going losers.
Oh, I've seen that I've seen that one, the one where people did that and they made it to L for Langley. Langley
Oh, I didn't see that one. I didn't see any of the positive stuff. Obviously, I've obviously got a very different Twitter feed to you. You've got a more upbeat one. The Valor fans as well getting in touch.
Yeah,
going,
they're not
why
happy.
have you nicked everything about us, VFC?
And their V also has kind of stripes in it. Yeah, that I feel for them because well, one, I know some people. I know one or two people there, but two, the way that their club is run, I have concerns about them.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like, I do. Their social media people actually are quite humorous, not in like the trying.
Oh
to
no,
work
they're
that
very
way.
very good, and their media communications
they-
folk have been great to deal with. Sam Calvert out there
Yeah,
has been
because they made a
fantastic.
post right away on like Instagram or something, right? Did you see it?
Yeah.
And it was like, I forget what it was. Was it rolling eyes or was it? I don't know. It was something. It was funny. It came up my feed right away. Now I have to look it up. Are you looking it up?
No, I'm looking something else up, which we're going to talk about to do with the name, because at the event on Wednesday night, we got a lot of reveal. Some of it we already knew. We knew the name, we knew the crest and the general branding from the leak the week before. The colours, which everyone had thought was just going to be black and white. No confirmation exactly as to what it was going to be. And there's a lot of red in some of the material they're using. I think I've been led to believe it's red and white's the primary colours and black and white's going to be the secondary colours, but that's still to be officially confirmed. But the team name is still obviously getting a lot of debate, and we won't delve into it again because we touched on it on last week's show. But the general feeling was it doesn't capture the local market, and the locals won't buy into it. And I don't buy into that. And as we said in last week's show, people don't follow a club just because of the name. Some might. You don't follow it for the branding of the crest. And again, some might. But on the majority don't. And I saw a lot of people that were going on about, they've just totally ignored the fan survey that they did asking for various things. But then they released this week the details of that.
Yeah, they had it at the event, right?
Yeah, I was trying to find it on Instagram, but it was an Instagram story, so it's now disappeared. But basically, by far, a long way, the favoured name from respondents was Vancouver FC, with Fraser Valley FC the second name.
Yeah. When I asked them about it, why are you going with this? They essentially said, like, I think I said this maybe on the show last week, but that they were open to other things, and that they were hoping maybe the survey might bring their attention to something that might be meaningful that they hadn't thought of or hadn't, analyzed.
Well, there was a lot of worse names that were coming up as well.
And they said it didn't. So
I was surprised that anyone would want a club called Metro Vancouver.
Yeah, except for this isn't locally, like Coquitlam Metro 4. Like, there's like a metro in the name of, like within teams' names, or like.
Well, yeah, but that's about a car dealership.
No, I know. I know. But even like, again, I thought this was an awful name, although they've gone to a worse one. The New York, New Jersey Metro Star.
Yeah, that was just a mouthful.
Yeah, Metros has been used in a name before, and I'm sure there's other places as well that I don't know about or I'm not thinking of. But it's a few people have said it to me too. It's not Metros would not be my choice or not my favorite thing, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure if this club was launching right at the start of CPL, with the way that the branding's been done elsewhere,
it would have been different.
I think they would have been Valley FC or something like that. But Valley FC would allow them to throw a lot of stuff on.
If it would have been in Surrey, it would have been Port City FC.
That is true. That was the name that had been registered. But Rob Friend did address a little bit about why they've come up with this name and what they're hoping to achieve with it. So play a little bit of audio from this just now. So this is taken from a video that I shot at the event on Wednesday.
Which is on YouTube. I've watched it.
You can see the full video, 16 minutes on YouTube, which somebody had said, I put it up and then they asked a question about it. I was like, did you not watch the video? And they're like, no, it's 16 minutes. It's like 16 minutes is not a long time for me to watch something, but
TLDR.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you can watch the whole video up on YouTube. So the sound quality is not as fantastic as some of our other interviews that we do, but here's Rob Friend explaining a little bit as to why they've come up with this name and what they're hoping to achieve by this branding.
I live in Vancouver. I bleed Vancouver. I travel the world. I advertise the city. It's one of the greatest cities in the world. And I've been disappointed as a footballer, as a former player, that there isn't a club, in my opinion, that represents the community, that unites a community, that inspires. And I sit here and I look at our brand and I look at the people in this room, and I think there's something special in the air, and we've written it here. And I think people are looking for a football club to support. We as a football club need to do something different in the community, and I'm looking at the screen there, and the question is, when we started this journey, and we said, okay, what's the name going to be? And again, we're sitting here in Langley, and we're standing here in Langley Event Center, but it's more than Langley. It's all the communities. Everybody in this room is from a different municipality, different community. So it's bigger than the municipality, and that was the first question we asked, is what if a pro club could do more good for people? And we started with that question. And to me, it's more about the game, right? It's about uniting, it's about inspiring, it's about bringing communities together. And when I go to Pacific games, when I go to other CPL games, and you see families and friends and young kids being inspired, and whether you want to be a professional soccer player or you want to be just a fan or a hardcore supporter, but you're inspired, and it's bringing people together. And that was the question we asked ourselves: what if a pro club could do more good for more people? And I think that's kind of the message that we're asking ourselves. And we're going to ask questions in this community, because I think we have an opportunity, we have a platform with this professional club here in the Lower Mainland to do something different, to do something good. And we don't have the answers, but I think we can inspire, and I think this club can unite, and we're very excited about it. So if everybody's asking, funny enough, the name Vancouver Football Club got leaked on Twitter last week, and I don't know if who's on Twitter, but it's a very dangerous place. And someone leaked the name Vancouver Football Club, and people were sending me screenshots, and everybody was hammering us and slamming us. Why would you call Vancouver Football Club? These guys are idiots. I'm never supporting this club. And I'm sitting here It's been 5 years, and I'm trying to invest in this game, and we're trying to grow the game in this country, and I'm like, we're trying to unite, and already people have taken the name, and they're slaughtering it. They're finding ways, they're finding negativity around this, and to me, and I was excited to launch the team today because it's about more than just one community. It's about all the communities, and we're going to launch the brand video, and as you're going to see, in the logo, you see the lines there. That's the cable of the bridges, and bridges unite the communities, and I think that's something special. And again, this room speaks to this. Everybody here is from the Lower Mainland, from Greater Vancouver. So I think the name is really going to resonate. We're excited about the name Vancouver Football Club. We really love the colors. I hope everybody loves it.
So Rob Friend there just addressing a little bit about the Vancouver FC name. And as their video was mentioned, they want to basically encapsulate the whole region. They want to capture the markets, whether you're in West Van or White Rock, whether you're in Squamish or Surrey, whether you're in Vancouver or the Valley. They want all these people. Realistically, I don't think you're going to have folk from Squamish travelling out to Langley. It's a pain in the ass for me to travel up to Langley, and I'm on the highway, and it took me 50 minutes to get there for that event.
I'm pretty sure there was a dude from Squamish at the event, but I will say the one thing I will say about that is a shift for them, because which I know this shift has been frustrating for some of the supporters, because initially they talked a lot about in our conversations with them, formally and informally, that like they were not planning on doing a lot of engaging and marketing and whatever on the other side of the river.
Yep.
And so it sounds like there's been a shift, and I wonder how much that shift has to do with, in part, either information we don't have, or literally maybe even just from the responses they got from the surveying. Or other factors, but I don't know,
because we genuinely don't know the appetite for this team. I know we all hope what the appetite's going to be.
Yeah, we know what our appetite is.
Yeah,
yes, you're right.
I mean, I'll don't mind saying this on the show. I had a chat with Rob Friend a few weeks back, and just an informal chat. We were just talking about things, and I said, "Look, I'm going to be honest with you, Rob. I don't think you're going to sell out the stadium the way that you think you're going to sell out the stadium." And he firmly believes he does, with the local buy-in, the local clubs and stuff like that. I just think it's going to be a bit of a harder sell than some people think. And obviously this is a much smaller scale, but I want to kind of point towards TSS Rovers. Now, they got in to the local scene right at the right time. There's a lot of people feeling disenfranchised with the Whitecaps. They wanted something different. They wanted something new. And what they've done to grow that club, and the supporters culture and the community involvement, it's all been fantastic. This one, Guardians behind the goal, they've been drawing the biggest crowds in League One BC, but they've not gone over that 1,000 limit that I was hoping they were going to do and increase. They've just not quite got there, and they've got a lot of goodwill and a lot of buy-in, and it's been a hard sell. Now, obviously, this is a much lower level than CPL, but I think it's also going to take a bit of time to grow this team and grow. Initially, they'll get a couple of good crowds, but then I think that first season, it's going to be a struggle to constantly get those big crowds in. And I might be totally wrong here, and I genuinely hope I am, but I just feel that maybe some expectations are above what the realistic expectations should be.
Yeah, I don't know what the realistic expectation should be. I hear what you're saying. I think that it's hard to compare to the TSC because the levels don't compare to me. Like the USL that they were, the level of USL they were part of before was it PDL?
Yeah, it was PDL, and then it was USL League 2.
Yeah, USL, PDL, USL League 2, and then League 1 BC. I don't think you can compare that to the Canadian Premier League. I also think that for all the frustration, I think you hear in the frustration over the name, I think two things you hear. One, or maybe three things. You hear people are just like, oh, it's stupid. It's playing at a different place. Should be called that. Which, okay, whatever. I think you hear people on the other side of the river who are like, hey, I'd like to be this, but it's, it's too far away. And so why would you call it after Vancouver? And then you hear the local people who are saying, in and around Langley, Surrey, maybe Abbotsford, Chilliwack, whatever, who are like, hey, we wanted something more to identify with us.
Yeah.
And so I think I think that there's potential for this to go really, really well in terms of actual engagement. Because even some of the people have said to me, hey, the name really pisses me off. Like they say, I just need you to know I do not like this name is disengaging for me. But they've also said at the same time, but yeah, I'm still hoping that the match day or whatever, like I'm still going to come to games, and I'm hoping that'll be won over in the end, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
and I think there will be. I genuinely think once the season starts, the name's just not even going to be a thing.
Yeah, I think yes, hopefully. But yeah, it'll be incredibly interesting to see how it all plays out. Obviously, this is a brand new football club launching in the area I've lived longer than I lived anywhere else in my whole life. And so I'm excited to help make it as meaningful as possible. And obviously, I want to make the support as passionate as possible, or play some kind of role in making it as passionate as possible. And so there's been a number of things that have been happening to that end, and there are more things that will be happening in the weeks and months ahead to that end. And so, yeah, if people want to get involved, obviously you can sign up for your
Zach up.
Yeah, hit me up, but you can sign up for your season tickets on your season ticket $20 deposits already on their website and stuff. And if you want to be involved in this on the supporter side of things and what's going on there, Fraser Valley Fanatics on social media, particularly Twitter, and with Facebook, we got to probably change the name because it's not under that. But Twitter, you can get us there, or Gmail, fvfanatics@gmail.com.
We all got swag bags at the event on Wednesday night as well.
Forget about the swag bags. One of the greatest things I think they did, and also one of the coolest things about the branding and the color, there's these 5 colors and these 3 logos and these few sayings and then other marks and whatever, was that make your own shirt booth. Did you get to it?
I looked at it. I didn't really.
Oh, you should have gone to it, Michael.
Why?
It's a dream come
was
true.
It?
Well, you could. They had like.
Could we have got an AFTN shirt done?
No, not AFTN, but they had like a black, white, red, and I think silver or gray shirts. And you could. Then they had multiple sizes and shapes of the different logos, different elements, and you could design your own shirt. You could put stuff wherever you want on the shirt, on the front, on the back. And they had that, the guy who runs, I forget what the company's name is now. But if you've gone like a shirt made at a local football match over the last decade or two, you would recognize him. But him and his people were there because he's all out in the valley now. He just does stuff in the valley. He doesn't go into Vancouver anymore. And he was there, and like I talked to him after because I went obviously I was there late.
Wasn't who we met at the Provincial Cup game, was it?
Oh yeah, it might have been. Yes, I'm having a vague recollection.
That one out in Abbotsford.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
no, not
him. Okay.
No, not him. Someone else.
I take it the shirts weren't free.
Yes, it was a free bar, Michael. Make your own shirt.
You are shitting me.
You wanted me to show you my shirt? It's right here.
I missed some free stuff?
Yeah, you missed free stuff, Michael. You're Scottish. I
even grabbed 2 swag bags. The reason I did that, I will just point out, in case Vancouver FC want to take one back, I'm going to give one of them away in a competition in the coming weeks as well. It's got a t-shirt, a t-shirt even, a keychain and some badges and some stickers. So we'll give that away in a competition.
Mine's upstairs, so yeah.
Okay. I trust you that you got a really cool shirt, and I am really pissed off now that I missed that.
Oh, I got a red one so I can wear it.
I stayed away from it because I thought it was a pay thing, and it's like I'm obviously allergic to money.
No, it was
for spending
free.
Money.
Well, yeah, no. Everyone said to me, I'm pretty sure no one paid. It was like one of the fun, creative things of the evening. I thought made it like. But help make the event special.
You've just ruined my night.
I'm so sorry. I thought for sure you would have hit that up first thing.
Let's get back to talk about the team. One thing that Rob Friend said And you won't have heard this part because you hadn't arrived by this point. When he was doing his address, and it's up on our YouTube video, he spoke about bringing this team very passionately, and we heard a little bit from it in the audio there. And he said that he wants to give Vancouver the team that they deserve and that they can be proud of, and he feels that the city has not had that team, and he wants to be that team. That most certainly sounds like shots fired over the Whitecaps' bows.
Well, I don't think it's any secret that I share that sentiment.
Yes,
I mean,
but to come out and say that, I thought was like an interesting.
Well, they've been saying
we're
that.
going to hear from the new coach in a second. He was like, "Oh no, we can work together." And
well, no, I mean,
he's new.
Rob has been saying things like that, or maybe less direct in the build-up. I mean, he even said it.
I know he said it to us, but
yeah, the first interview you did with him, he was like, "Look, yeah."
But the other big reveal, obviously on Wednesday night, was the club's first head coach, and it's the very experienced Afshin Ghotbi, the 58-year-old Iranian American. He brings a wealth of experience to this team, and probably, I think, the biggest experience or the most experience we've seen from a head coach in the CPL. The only one that comes close is really Stephen Hart in terms of being managing at international level and club level. Very high caliber candidate that Rob Friend's known for years, and Rob said that they'd kept in touch and spoke a lot, and Afshin had called him up and was very interested in this project and said he'd like to be the head coach. And Rob's like, "Look, we can't afford you to hire you. We don't have that kind of budget." And he's like, "Oh no, this is not about money. I want to be part of this project." And right away when you hear that, you're like, wow, this is a coach that you want. And this is a guy that graduated from UCLA Bruins, moved to America from Iran when he was 13 with his family. He coached the Bruins women's side for a while, got into the men's game. He's managed in the US and Japan and China and Thailand, South Korea at club level. He's been an assistant with the US and South Korea national teams at World Cups. Also been the head coach of Iran, not at a World Cup. He'd taken them over mid-campaign and just couldn't quite get them over the line after a poor start. Mm-hmm. He's bringing a wealth of experience. This is a great get for Vancouver FC.
Yeah, he was also, I don't know if you mentioned there, he was also at LA Galaxy, right? As an assistant.
Yes, the assistant as well. So he's got that experience in MLS.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe we need to talk to Naveed at some point. I saw him.
Naveed's delighted about it. He doesn't know him personally, but he has followed his career for a while as a Persian. And he is cock-a-hoop over this appointment. Said it's his new CPL team that he's going to follow. And that's the clever thing as well. And it's obviously not the sole reason for hiring, but there's such a large Persian community. And in local football circles, you've got a number of Persian clubs like Shaheen FC and a number of big local Persian players as well. They're going to love this guy and want to come and be with him. And I tell you what, you only have to spend a few minutes with him and listen to him speak, and you're captivated by him. He's got one of those personalities. It's like Vanni Sartini. It's like Vanni is a guy that his enthusiasm can win you round, and if you're feeling a bit negative about stuff, he can win you round with just how he is. And I think players want to play for a coach like that. They'll run through a wall for a guy like that, and I think the same's going to be the same for Afshin Ghotbi. And I got a chance to chat with him during the event, myself and Har. So I'll bring you our little exclusive interview, Har and myself speaking to the new Vancouver FC head coach, Afshin Ghotbi. So, Asvin, you've been all over the world, you've coached at World Cups, you've been in MLS, you've been in Japan. You spoke a little bit about it there, but what is it about Vancouver and this project in particular that has really attracted you?
Well, I think first and foremost, the history I have with the ownership and Rob Friend. I believe in him, I believe in his vision, and I believe where his heart is leading him to. He wants to do something that leaves a legacy for Canadian football and Canadian soccer. He wants to build something that allows Canadian youth players to live their dream, and not like what he had to do as a youngster and what he went through to achieve his dreams. I kind of relate to that because as a coach, I had to almost do the same thing. I had to literally go from country to country, fight day in and day out to prove myself, to be able to live my passion. So that I think is one of the most important things, to have that shared vision with the ownership. The second part that really intrigues me is the city of Vancouver. It's a very diverse, very global city. I'm a very global citizen, so I think I can relate to that kind of a city that shares my globalized view of the world. And I think I can connect with different communities and bring them all together, because maybe they can relate to me. I spent 4 years in Japan, 5 years in Korea, 4 years in China, 4 years in Iran, and of course in America, and I lived in Netherlands, lived in Emirates. So that I think allows me to have a much wider view of the city and be able to connect the city better. The next part that's really also important to me is that it allows me to have my family with me. I was working at various places where my family couldn't be with me for different reasons, and in the last years I've been living in COVID in China all by myself. So it gives me a chance to really have my wife live with me and be closer to also my father, who lives in Southern California, and the 2.5 hour flight makes it for him psychologically easier to know, especially at his age, that I'm close by, and that gives him more a kind of confidence that I can be there if he needs me. So all of this together at the time where we have the greatest talent of Canadian football coming up, I think is a perfect moment for me to be here.
So how long has this been in the works then? When did the talks start to get really serious?
Well, Rob and I stayed in touch over the years, and then he had the Pacific FC project. I was proud of how he was doing, and I always was messaging him about how proud of him I am. And then when I came back to Southern California to spend some time with my father, I contacted him to see how he was. And then he explained to me about the project. So it was about almost 2 months ago, I think, that the conversation started.
Coach, your assistant coaches, when do you expect to name your assistant coaches?
We are in discussion, and we are really, one of the things that we want to do is we want to find bright, young, talented Canadian coaches that we can mentor and develop for the future of Canadian football. Those are really what our intentions are. Hopefully in the coming weeks we can identify them and hire them.
There's a team down the road that really hasn't won a lot. Do you view them as competition, as a rival? I'm talking about the Whitecaps.
I think competition always makes people better, and I think we are in a different market. We have different objectives, and we are in a way. We want to be an alternative, an option for the Canadian soccer fans and Vancouver fans to maybe gravitate towards our vision, our way of working. So I don't look at it as a rivalry. I look at it as more, hopefully we can help each other in developing the game.
How much have you seen of the Canadian Premier League?
I've seen a lot of games.
What have you thought of the quality?
I think the quality, as I shared with you, is a lot better than I expected. When I see the budgets and the budgets I was working with, for example, the Chinese Super League, it's like the budget in the Canadian Premier League is even less than for one player in Chinese football. So to see that kind of quality really impresses me. I think the league is only going to get better. The quality is only going to improve, and I'm really impressed with the attitude the players bring in every game.
Have you got your eye on any particular players yet?
Well, that's a great question. I do, but I'm not going to say because we are in discussion with them, and we have to. If I say something, it may change the conversation.
Afshin Ghotbi there chatting about taking over as head coach of Vancouver FC. He mentioned there the budget that he had in China for one player is about the budget that a CPL team has for the whole season for their whole squad.
Yeah.
So he's definitely moving in different circles now.
Yeah.
He's got some players in mind, didn't want to share any names. There was a couple of local talents there. I'm going to be doing a thing on the Extra podcast about some players that I think would be good fits for this new club. And one of the guys, Victor Shambusho, that's with UBC just now, I spoke about before, absolutely ideal fit. Eric Edwardson, the leading scorer in League 1 BC with TSS Rovers this past season, was at the event. I said, does this mean you're signing for the club? Would not be drawn in that. I'm pretty sure he will be though. Ashvin there mentioned that his assistants will be up-and-coming young Canadian coaches, because the plan is to be mentors to these coaches and to bring them through, very much like what Rob's plan was over in Pacific with James Merriman.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that. I think that I've heard that exact thing talked about in some maybe detail we'll talk about maybe down the road. But that they very much want to raise up coaches in a similar fashion how they did at Pacific, where it's you have some experienced coaches, like a Silver Bauer, I guess you could say, a Pa in a different way. But the long-term plan is to raise up local people that can, then have an opportunity, then bring their flavor to.
Yeah, I'm very excited actually to see who it is. Obviously, I know a lot of the local coaches in the youth game and in VMSL and college ranks, just to see who might be in the frame for this. It was revealed at the event the stadium's currently still being built over in Asia. It's going to be a modular stadium. It's going to get shipped over.
That's been happening for some time. That's ongoing.
I hope the shipping starts quite soon, before rough seas and any possible disasters in that. It might not be 100% what they're looking for initially, but I guess there's a change of mayor in Langley just now, so
I don't know that the change of mayor impacts things that much that I'm aware of right away. But
I was just thinking about what budgets might be available, whether they might be more friendly or less friendly towards the club. And
I will say that, my understanding is it will not be exactly what they were hoping for out of the gate.
Yes,
that doesn't mean
as well.
It doesn't mean it'll be a half completed stadium or anything like that. But it won't be. Yeah, it won't be. I don't think it'll be where they want it to be. Right.
Like personally, if there's not a hydropole, I'll be disappointed.
No, that is definitely not an issue.
Now, Vancouver FC will be the 9th club officially in the Canadian Premier League. I'm not including the rights that's been awarded to Saskatchewan and to David Clanahan, because they have not moved very much, have they?
Wasn't there a vote in Saskatchewan? I forgot to double check on that. There's supposed to be some vote in Saskatchewan last week.
About the stadium and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't checked on that either. But the big question, though, Zach, is will there be 9 clubs in the league next season? Because the future's not looking good for the Eddies right now.
Well, two things that don't necessarily indicate anything, because you're right. I think that there's great concern over what's happening in Edmonton. But two things. One is the Commissioner, Noonan, at the gathering, I was told, said, we have 9 teams in our league.
Yeah.
Or you're the 9th team. Secondly, the second thing,
which is factually correct just now.
Totally factually correct. But the second thing is a day later, 2 days later, whatever it was, with the announcement of this year's Voyager Cup side, FC Edmonton was still listed on that as well. Now, obviously, that could
be
change,
because they still exist.
That could change, obviously, but yeah.
Well, first of all, an odd number of teams is not ideal.
No.
It would give bye weeks, I guess, but I mean, it isn't ideal. Again, and me, busy little buddies, cornered Mark Noonan. This time we did ask to speak to him, so he was brought over to us, a little bit confused as to why we wanted to speak to him. So we chatted to him about the new team in Vancouver, just about future expansion, his time in the job so far, but we also asked him about the future of FC Edmonton. And some of you might have seen my article that I had up on AFTN during the week after that chat. But let's hear the full chat just now with CPL Commissioner Mark Noonan.
Vancouver, you've expanded into a big market, and it's something I think we've wanted this team here for a while. We finally got this team now. What is it that excites you most about getting into a big city like Vancouver?
I mean, it's one of the major population centers of Canada. And if you think about a city like London, there's something like 13 clubs, and they come out of these communities. So this may not be the last club that we put in this province. And what's exciting is now we have 2 clubs in this province, and I think there's room for more too. But let's get this one right, let's get this one launched, and we'll think about the next one after that.
Yeah, you spoke about expansion up there, and that you believe this league can go from 19 to 18, which I think everyone really wants to see. Obviously, Saskatchewan was involved. I spoke to the guys behind that about 2 years ago now. Yeah. Seems to have gone quiet there. There's always clamour for Quebec as well. How soon do you see there being more?
Yeah, we got slowed down a little bit by the pandemic. Yeah. I think everything did. But we've got 8 or 9 very active discussions going on in the expansion world, and we're going to expand at the right time in the right places with the right people in the right communities. And I'm not going to put a timeline on it, but the sooner the better, because we need to expand. It's a big country. We need more teams. But I'm very bullish on our ability to do that. But all the conditions need to be right. We're better off waiting to make sure the conditions are right. And I personally believe, given the growth of soccer, the longer the wait, the more valuable these franchises are going to get.
This was a great season, 4th year, first year back after the pandemic. Everything went well. The success at Ottawa was fantastic as well. You've got 9 teams now going into next year. Is it 9? I know there's a lot of stuff with Edmonton. Do you fully expect Edmonton to be a team next year?
Yeah, we're still working on the solution in Edmonton. Everybody knows that we have an issue in that market, and we're working hard to address it. And that's all I'll say right now.
How do you address it?
How do we address it? By working with the community, trying to find new ownership. And make sure that we have the conditions to be successful in that market. I went through the pain of when I was at MLS of losing a couple teams. And you want to do everything you can not to lose teams, but sometimes you have to do that if you don't have the right conditions. So we're working on it.
Is there a deadline for this decision?
It has to be soon, because at some point we've got to put a schedule together. But I would say over the next 30 to 60 days.
You've not been in the job for long.
60 days yesterday.
60, wow. Yeah. What have you learned then in that first 60 days?
I learned I have a lot to learn. But I've learned that there's an incredible growing passion for the sport across this country and these communities. I've learned that the product is even better than I thought it was, and the product I thought was pretty good. I learned that we need new owners, new communities, and new infrastructure. We have to continue working on the infrastructure. And I've learned that there's just so much potential for this league. I firmly believe, and I don't want to put a timeline on it, I think we can be a top 10 league in the world over time.
A final one for me. If you look at the CPL and MLS, there's an advantage. If your league, your games are going to be on TV next year, and MLS is on to Apple. So what's happening with your media, and how do you get that bigger to get more attention on the league?
Great question. We're working on it. It's very public that we filed a claim with the CRTC against Rogers, but we're working in a friendly manner as well with some of the big distributors to get our product more widely covered, and we'll have something to say about that hopefully in the future.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
So Mark Noonan there, just chatting about the Eddies and their future amongst a few other things. And I mean, a decision is likely to be made in the next 30 to 60 days, he feels, because they have to get on with it as they draw up schedules for the season to come, and everyone knows it's not ideal, the current situation. For me, I think everything is pointing to the club going on a hiatus for a year. Now, they're going to want to try and find a solution. I mean, who knows, some buyer might miraculously come along in the next 2 months and this will all be a different situation. I just feel they want to find a bit of time, get that hiatus, because they can't run the club it was this year. It wasn't fair on anyone, and just loaning players that are on the fringes of other things, that's not an ideal situation. It would take it back to an 8-team league, which would work really good as well. I just think everything's pointing to that right now.
It feels that way. And I mean, we're going to talk later about, how you can put a club on a hiatus and if they can be birthed from the ashes like Chivas too. But obviously there are many things that make that not ideal.
Yeah. Now, you touched on it there, at the Canadian Championship. If Edmonton do go on hiatus, that really messes up what has just been announced for the Canadian Championship. The new format was revealed for 2023, 15 teams in it, 1 team getting a first round bye, which you would imagine would be the Whitecaps as reigning champions, but somehow they'll find a way for TFC to get that bye. Not sure how, but they'll...
There's not a chance, is there?
It'll be, let's do it alphabetically with teams that begin with T.
No, seriously, there's
no, there won't be. The Whitecaps will clearly get that bye. So then there'll be 7 first round matches, and included in those 15 teams, absolutely delighted by this. I had a little inkling that this might be coming. TSS Rovers will be in the 2023 Canadian Championship as League 1 BC champions, because League 1 Ontario, League 1 Quebec, their champions have been in it. They're now guaranteed to be joined every year by the League 1 BC champions.
Which is
always
great.
been, yeah, it is. And it was always this thing about, you have to have a certain number of games, blah, 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 and teams. I'm glad it's sensible, because they should be in. They've won a provincial title, and they should be in this competition.
Totally.
If the Eddies bow out, it throws a massive wrench into the plans, but either way, TSS are going to be in. I'm absolutely delighted with that. Having been a part of TSS's growth from 2017 upwards, it's just been great to see. And for all the teams in League 1 BC, what an incentive to go on and win that title now.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine Whitecaps having to go and play at Altitude FC? I would hope Altitude would say, we're going to play it in our small 1,000 capacity park.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. The magic of the cup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to what this year's tournament will look like, because now you have 4 teams from BC, right?
I mean, everything is probably shaping up. Of course, the draw could throw up anything. You'd imagine it's going to be regional. But Vancouver FC against TSS Rovers, that's the kind of rivalry you're going to want.
That would be a lot of fun. I would enjoy that.
Winner of that going on to maybe face Pacific. Oof. Then the Whitecaps come into it. Tasty, tasty stuff.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But that is it for our Vancouver FC chat, with one more part to go. I know I said it was going to be a 3-part show. I turned it into a 4-part show. That's what I do. We'll be back with the final part of the show, as we're going to turn our attention to Major League Soccer. And we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Afshin Ghotbi, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I met a man, he was a good man, sailing and shoring, dancing the bit I can, making me foreign, oh yeah. South Patagonia. I wanna live in Los Angeles.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM, and kicking off this part, another song from a 1993 self-titled debut album. It's not by Suede this time, it's by Frank Black, otherwise known as Black Francis from the Pixies, and his self-titled album, Frank Black, and that's the opening track from it, Los Angeles. We've played it on the show a few times before, just a little snippet, a longer version of it there. He sings I Want to Live in Los Angeles, but not the one in Los Angeles. I think everyone just now wants to be in Los Angeles for those big celebrations because the champs are here, or there, more likely. LAFC are MLS champions.
Up the goats.
And what a match. I know neither of us have had a chance to watch it in full, live. I've watched the highlights and then I've watched little snippets. I'm going to sit down this week and watch the whole game. I've just not had 2 hours plus in my schedule to sit down and watch this. But from what I saw, one of the best MLS Cup finals of all time.
Totally, yeah. Same for me. It was crazy. That was a crazy game.
It's tough that someone has to lose that. But the twists and turns.
Yeah.
I mean, the goals. Kellen Acosta opens the scoring for LA in the 28th minute. And you think, they've got the home crowd rocking and rolling now and they're going to push on. Philly, though, fought back. Daniel Gazdag, who's been outstanding for them this year, levelling it up just before the hour mark.
But then Jesus.
Yeah, your friend Jesus.
Yeah.
Didn't save LAFC, but he did put them ahead in the 83rd minute. And again, you thought, that's them done it now. And I think probably a part of them thought, we've done this now. We're just going to see this out. And I think this just shows you what kind of a team Jim Curtin's just put together. Because they just go up the field and 2 minutes later, they bring it back to 2-2. Jack Elliott. And I haven't seen this incident, but I'd seen folks saying that he may have been fortunate to be on the pitch. There was an incident that could have had him sent off. I haven't seen that, so I need to check that out. I haven't had a chance to do that.
Don't worry, Michael. I'm sure MLS referees and their VAR system got it right.
I'm sure. It's not like Scottish VAR that it's not going great so far. But yeah, 2-2 at the end of regulation. And when Elliott scored, the celebrations and the Philly fans were absolutely fantastic. One thing I do want to say, though, I've been very complimentary of the LAFC support. I think it's one of the best in the league, the atmosphere that they bring.
Are you concerned about the throwing of stuff?
Yeah. Like, genuinely, that they need to get that in order. That happens a lot at LAFC games.
I think that's part of making it a place that people don't want to come and play, or making it a volatile, ruckus atmosphere. I'm not condoning it the way you would back in the day, but
welcome to Bottle Throwing Awareness Month here at AFTN.
Well, I thought at those stadiums, they don't they take away the lids and stuff, so you can't throw I think that was the case. Though, right?
Yeah, you can piss in it and get some extra weight and just chuck it onto the pitch. That's the good old Scottish way.
Right. Another reason, ladies and gentlemen, why you don't want to stand next to Michael. Michael, what are you doing? Nothing. Look the other way.
I'm older now. The stream's not the same. I need one of those smaller bottles. But yes, at the end of the 90 minutes, we're tied up at 2 apiece. We're into extra time. The drama continues. Second half of extra time. 116th minute. Corey Burke played through. He's racing in on goal. Maxime Crepeau runs out of goal. Probably with a tackle that may have very well saved LAFC's game and probably won them it. Because I think if Burke had put that away, we wouldn't have had all the drama that was going to follow.
Well, there wouldn't have been all the extra time.
No.
Right? I mean,
but Max comes out.
You never know.
Absolutely crunching challenge on Corey Burke.
So we said this before. I have not gone back and watched the slow-mo, whatever. So basically, he smashes into Burke, right? He just kicks him, right?
I think from what I can gather without watching a close-up thing, because obviously we know it's Max's shin. And looking at how Burke was holding his leg, I think it was shin on shin.
Yeah.
Or knee on shin. It's one of those two things. but Burke was down as well, and I was like, oh boy. And I knew there had been a sending off.
Well, Ishmael issued a yellow card, didn't he?
Yeah. See, I knew there'd been a sending off, and it was only when I got home and watched it that I didn't know it was Max that had been sent off.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was Burke for the challenge on Max. I thought something had happened in the box or something. And then, yeah, it was a yellow card by Ishmael. Very generous yellow card. I don't think there's any question. It was a dog, so it was a red card. And I know it's harsh. Max is screaming in pain on the deck, and Elfath goes up to him and kind of says, I've got to send you off here. But then doesn't at least put it in his face.
Yeah,
he goes back and just flashes it. And I think Max, heart and hearts, when he watches it back, he'll know.
Oh, yeah.
It was a red card. And
he did make one nice save earlier in the game.
Oh, yeah. But what do you think he was like for the goals? Because I think at least one of them he should have done better on. I know Elliott's header was a bullet header, but
did he get a hand to that?
I think it was Elliott's one that he got the hand to. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it might have been Gazdag's one, but I can't remember. There's been so much football this weekend.
Yeah,
but whatever one it was, I feel he could have had a stronger hand on that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the what I watched him, he still contributed to the victory.
Oh, absolutely. And if you follow Max on Instagram, probably high on morphine at the time, flashing his cup winner's medal. So he's got that to show for it, as well as his surgery. But it was like a double whammy for LAFC because they're down a man and they lose their starting goalkeeper, and then on comes 7-year veteran John McCarthy, former Philadelphia Union player for 4 seasons as well.
So many stories in this game.
Oh, I mean, McCarthy, we'll get to him shortly, but he must have been so nervous coming into a game like that, cold as well.
And he kind of showed it on
yeah, there was a few little fumbles, but then 4 minutes into stoppage time of extra time, Elliott gets his second of the game, but McCarthy had pulled out an absolutely stunning save, but then just couldn't turn it away out of the danger zone.
But he made a fumble in the build-up.
He made a fumble before in the build-up, yeah.
But
then
right.
Amends,
the next save was a great save, and Elliott was there to tap in, essentially tap in the rebound.
And again, at that point, you think, well, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say game over, as someone else might say.
You don't want to.
But if I'd been watching that live, I would have thought, oh, well, that's it. Well done, Philly. You've taken advantage when it mattered. And you saw what it meant to the Philly fans, saw what it meant to the players. And
you're like, Elliott, what more could you do in this game?
Oh, I mean, what he should have done is gone into his sock, taken out a mobile communication device and phoned home.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. But he's
a throwback for our younger listeners.
Yeah, totally. But
there was relevant.
But so he got his brace, but then he also got what is the term now? Like posterized. I forget what Tyler Twellman said on the broadcast. He got dunked on the equalizer. That was him.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Ooh.
So LA goes down the field in like whatever, with in the 7 or 8 or 9 or
8 minutes officially it is into the stoppage time. So I had initially been told 9, but then when I checked the stats before we recorded, it said 8.
Yeah, so the LA comes down the wing, and Gareth Bale, who's hardly touched the ball.
I think they said it was his 4th touch.
Yeah, 4th touch.
The game after coming on, and getting advice from Mark DeSantis as to what to do when he came on. So basically, Mark got that goal.
Totally, and he rose above Elliott and headed home. And again,
great celebration,
and great, like, especially it was a nice celebration because I don't know, and I don't watch every LAFC game, but you always think of their goals in front of the other end, right? And I don't remember seeing a lot of celebrations like that with that part of the supporters.
No, actually, so that was really nice to see.
Yeah,
he made a beeline for them. He knew right away that's where he was going.
And it's like, I know he hasn't had a great stint at LAFC, but
almost a bust, you could all say.
Well, but yeah, he showed his quality. Like he had,
He did.
like he has
Big
with
time
that,
player for a big time occasion.
with like that crazy goal in the Champions League, right? Like Champions League final, right? Like
And scoring for Wales as well.
There you go.
Playoff games and stuff.
So yeah, I think it was crazy.
Yeah. Then
I think MLS was very happy about.
Oh, they will have been. Because it's like there's something you can market across the world for sure.
Well, Don was talking about it the day before, like, oh, all these great players that have come to our league and blah blah blah, and of course Gareth Bale was top of that list or near top of that list.
Goes to penalties, and you're thinking, oh, Philly's probably going to fancy their chances here. Andre Blake, such a fantastic goalkeeper. McCarthy, he's nervous, he's just come in, we don't know what he's like, but has a bit of a reputation for being a penalty expert. And both teams miss their first penalties.
Oh,
that slip. Oh boy.
Man.
I so felt for him because if your penalty saved or you crack it off the woodwork, fair enough. But if you slip and you sky it like that.
Yeah. Felt off. And that was the goal scorer, right? That was that not Gazdag?
He missed the first one, so that was Gazdag. Yeah, that was a tough one. But they both missed the first one. But then Philly missed all three. LAFC scored their next three to win 3-0 on penalty kicks. And McCarthy, 2 big saves in that penalty shootout.
Yeah.
And this must be, well, I mean, it's a surreal moment for him. He spoke about it afterwards. He's still trying to process it. I don't even know how you process something like that. So he's on officially in the 117th minute.
Yeah.
So even including all the time that's added on, he has played 12 minutes of action and a penalty shootout, and he gets the MVP of the final.
Yeah.
Is there any other player of a game that's been on a pitch less time than that and got an MVP award?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not that comes to mind.
I mean,
Lars Rinken in the 97 Champions League final at the Olympiastadion in Munich walks on the pitch with his first touch, chips Angelo Peruzzi from like, I don't know, 30 yards or something. And I think it was a 3-1 final, and that was the third goal, I think. So, but yeah, I mean, not the same, but.
Yeah, I mean, phenomenal for him. How he can go back to being a backup now, I don't know, and that's the problem they have. Of course, right away he doesn't have to because of Max's injury. Whitecaps could do with maybe a John McCarthy coming in.
I know. Obviously we talk about how badly we feel for Max, but
McCarthy said he's absolutely devastated for him, which was so many mixed emotions for a guy, because these keepers are a close group.
Totally. I saw people before the game. I think it was before the game online talking about like, oh, like I hate Max.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah.
I was going to talk about this.
Did any of that continue after?
That was something I was going to ask you, because I genuinely have hardly been on Twitter this weekend, because I was going to say I haven't seen anything. I hope there isn't anyone gloating.
I saw one comment, but I'm pretty sure it was from before the game.
I saw a comment from before.
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay.
But if anyone's gloating about Max's injury, just ETFO. It's like there's no room for that at all. And he's a national team keeper as well.
And also, like, for those who were like upset, blah blah. The dude was right.
Yeah, he said he wanted to go to win a trophy. I saw someone describe him as a trophy hunting rat.
Yeah. He wanted to go to a club that wanted to win, that had the ambition to win. He went and won the 3 trophies you can win. 3 if you count that conference trophy or whatever, right? But I don't. I don't either. But I know some
but yeah, I guess it is like 3.
But,
yeah.
So yeah, he accomplished what he wanted to do. The whole, and I saw some people again pre-match, as far as I can recall, who were ragging on him about like, oh, your special family situation, blah blah blah. I don't know if I can't remember if we ever got clarity over this, Michael.
We haven't. I have been told stuff that there was something.
No. But again, I think that my speculation of the situation, which I think I said at some point in the offseason last year, is that he, I think that was, maybe there are some family elements to it, but I also think the Whitecaps didn't want him to come out and say, yeah, I'm going to a club that wants to win.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like,
so
what club wants to hear your player?
The whole special situation, I don't know, is all of his desire. Hey, let's say there's a special situation. I think he was trying not to disrespect the Whitecaps in his departure.
He was, and that's the thing that people, I think, haven't fully appreciated. Do you know something as well? I'd kind of put some feelers out to speak to Max after the MLS Cup this week before he joined up with Canada.
Yeah.
Obviously, can't now because,
no,
as I said on a show before in the build-up to this, a lot of time for Max. He's always been so generous with his time with us, putting up with all the nonsense I've thrown at him over the years. And yeah, we had planned to potentially have a little chat if time had allowed, but obviously not now. And I wish, as we said in the first part, Mark, all the very best for Max for a speedy recovery. But I mean, what a win for LAFC. Take a bow, Steve Cherundolo, winning Supporters Shield, Western Conference, MLS Cup in his first season in charge. Mark DeSantis too, as an assistant.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you, Mark. I'm happy for you.
Manu Veth got a chance to chat with him after the game yesterday. He sent his regards to the gang up here.
The gang.
So again, I'll hopefully speak to Mark in the off season as well about everything. I mean, in some ways, it's a bad thing that LAFC won, because if you look at the difference of how these teams were built, LAFC spending money, big name players, Philly, homegrown talent, not spending big money, manager that's slowly built this up after time. I worry that clubs look at this and go, let's follow the LAFC approach. But to his credit, and I don't say this often, Don Garber said in his State of the League address this week that Philadelphia Union is the model that clubs in MLS should be looking to follow. Getting that academy, getting your players coming through and building that.
I don't think he's talking about
money.
I don't think he's talking about the money though, because he also, Michael, he speaks out. He has to, I guess, speaking out of both sides of his mouth, because he's also in his talk trumpeted how well the league has done in terms of bringing in big name players and how much they've both spent and received in the January transfer window, especially in relation to the rest of the world. I think he said we've reached the top 5 in that sense. So yes, Philadelphia provides a certain type of model and has shown success with it, but I don't think in his heart of hearts is like he wants every club to be Philadelphia. I mean, beyond the academy, beyond the academy and investing in the right ways, and obviously they'd like every club to make good decisions in the transfer window and players brought in and stuff. But I don't think he wants the LAFCs, he wants the Toronto FCs, he wants the previous iterations of Atlanta FC, to be Seattle to be spending money on big name players and stuff.
I'm sure he will have been delighted to hear Vela saying he wants to win at least another one, maybe 2 MLS Cups with LAFC. So he's not planning on going there, and he's a very marketable person for this league with the huge Mexican community in the US.
And he's not supposed to be in their World Cup squad, right?
No, by the looks of it, no.
That's interesting.
Now, we mentioned Don Garber's State of the League address there. Just to round the show up, we'll just cover a couple of little things from it, and then there's something I want to cover in this that we'll go into more depth in a future show. But, I mean, Garber spoke about this has been a fantastic season for the league. Viewership up 16%. That, of course, might change with this new Apple TV deal, and that is the thing I want to talk about in a future show. So we'll park that bus for now.
Yeah, it's a longer conversation for sure.
Yeah, that's a very long conversation to have about that. Over 10 million people came in to watch MLS matches.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal figure.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I remember, there's a lot of games. I don't know, with 30. It's more than a normal league, right? Like, normal league doesn't have, almost 30 teams.
The couple of other things just quickly that he mentioned. obviously St. Louis is coming in this year, 29th club.
Up the Lutzes.
He'd said 30, and Las Vegas was still the favourite for that, and still seems to be. He said it might be midway through the year that they'll get some movement on that. But San Diego seem to have really come into the mix now as well. And I think everyone's expecting we'll go up to 32 clubs. So if Vegas are 30, San Diego will be 31, or vice versa. But they clearly really want Vegas in the league. And he was very complimentary about what Landon Donovan is doing down in San Diego. And why would you not want the guy that your MVP award is named after?
Oh, he loves the Landy cakes.
Yeah. And like, in all honesty, like what Donovan has done and built down there is fantastic. Not a huge fan of having so many clubs in close proximity when there's such a vast continent. I mean, I love local derbies, but you've got 3 Texan teams now. You'd be adding a San Diego team so close to the 2 LA teams, and then you've got San Jose in there as well. It is great for rivalry, so I do obviously love that side of it. But I mean, you're looking at Phoenix, Sacramento, who's another California club. They seem to never be getting a team in the league now.
Feel terrible for them.
Yeah, but it doesn't see a change in the model for designated players coming in with a new TV deal and stuff. He likes how it's operating just now. That can obviously change quickly. Gave the league a lot of credit in the MLS clubs for Canada's growth as a national team and get to the World Cup. I know what he meant though, because it is because a lot of the players have come through those MLS clubs and the MLS academies that's in the national team.
I just, like I said to you, I wonder if he's suffered any arm or limb or hand injuries from all the patting himself on the back that he does over that.
I mean, if nothing else, though, at a time where there wasn't other professional clubs in the country, the MLS teams gave Canadians a place to play. But then you say all that about Canada, but then you've had restrictive work practices for Canadians in the league over the years. So that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Nope.
There is a little element to it that they certainly have played their part. But the last thing I want to talk about, and I meant to talk about this a few weeks ago when it was first broken by The Athletic on October 25th. It's been another exciting season in MLS. It's been another fantastic playoffs, and I've loved the playoffs. They have been tremendous again this year. Last year, super exciting as well with this new format, the single knockout games.
Yeah, that's been great.
Why would you want to change that?
Well, because MLS likes to change. I mean, I think maybe you never thought of this. Maybe they lost the napkin.
Oh, they've drawn up a new one. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Athletic broke a story on October 25th that MLS may be in line for a huge overhaul of their playoffs. And I think you can be pretty sure it's been driven by this Apple TV deal. They've looked at the playoffs, they've seen how exciting it is, and they thought, we want more of that, which I get. But you dilute it by having more of it. It's like, we want more Cascadian derbies. They don't feel as special anymore. They're still special, but they're not quite as special when you've then got LA derbies and you've got Texan derbies and the New York derbies. If you just play each other once in a season, it's a way more exciting than when we're playing 3 games a season against every team. But that's changing, so that is a good thing at least as well. But the plan appears to be, and there's still a lot, nothing's been confirmed about this first and foremost, but there's still a lot that could change. But the league are looking to switch from the current 7 teams per conference setup right now to next year have roughly 30 post-season matches instead of the current 13. A source told The Athletic that they are looking at the possibility of World Cup-style playoff tournaments in which the top 8 teams in each conference advance to the playoffs. They're then placed in 2 groups of 4, split by conference. After 3 group stage matches, the top 2 from each group move to a knockout stage, also still keeping the Eastern Western Conference, proceeding that way until a conference champion is crowned and the 2 conference champions meet in the MLS Cup. What's your initial thoughts on that?
Well, what can you say about that? Like, I don't know. Like, Yeah, they're trying to make money some way. So
They just want more of what's worked, but the more games you add, it just absolutely dilutes the regular season all the more.
Yeah. Not every match can be a cup final.
No,
You
that's
know?
what they want to get. I mean, obviously, it's an innovative idea to have a World Cup style tournament for clubs. Maybe a Club World Cup. Don't think anyone's thought of that.
Someone alert the Chicago media. I mean, again, I mean, you and I think, are more traditionalist, purist at heart in terms of like, hey, there's something valuable about declaring your true winner as the team who does the best in the large competition over the larger period of time. I mean, in an ideal scenario where you play everyone equal number of games, home and away, and that's your true champion, right? Like, that's not the North American model. That's not how things work here. But I think that that's the model I like. Like, it was one of the things I appreciated about when I, started engaging with football, back in the 90s or whatever. And so I like that, and I think it's better. Obviously, does it create issues with games at the end being less meaningful for a significant number of teams? Yes, it does, especially when you don't have relegation to play for.
Yeah.
I obviously, my first inclination with something like this is I don't like it, but could it be good? It could be. I think, to their credit,
it would be exciting to watch. I mean, I'm not doubting that for a minute.
Yeah, but again, it also just devalues that league season, which they don't care about because their true champion is not that. So,
well, I mean, if you look, what you could be talking about is a 34-game MLS season. You've got US Open Cup and Canadian Championship games, so you could be talking, 4, 5, 6 matches for the team that wins that or goes deep. You've got this new Leagues Cup game, which could be anything up to 7 matches for teams. This playoff format could be 6, 7 games for teams as well. That's a lot of football to be played in a shortish window, really. Mm-hmm. Unless they look to expand the season, but then you're looking at weather issues and various stuff like that as well, and honouring international dates and stuff like that. For this to go ahead, it would have to be voted upon by the league's Board of Governors next month. And, I mean, it still could happen. Garber was asked about it at his State of League address, and I won't read you the whole quote, it's a long quote, but he thinks the playoff format has been fantastic, and it's been very exciting. The league's going to grow to soon to be 30 teams. And he says for that, you need to evolve your competitive schedule and your competitive format. Here in North America, playoffs are a driver of excitement and a driver of focused interest for fans. Our fans are no different. The league doesn't sit behind the curtain, the mighty Oz curtain, and make these decisions because we think it will be fun. Which did make me think, is he really saying that they do and there's a bunch of chimpanzees making all these decisions? Or whatever monkeys it was. Been a while since I saw the film. He says, we do research with our fans, we speak to our media partners, we gauge what the interest and buzz and energy around the playoffs and when they're taking place. If it makes sense for us to evolve, as we have over time, we do that. I don't think any of the changes that we've ever made with these competitive changes have been bad. Most people would agree with that. So are there changes you could make which would make good things even better? Perhaps. In the off-season, as we always do, and other leagues do the same, we sit down with our competition committee and with our chief soccer officers with input from research that we do with our fans and determine if something needs to be tweaked. If we can come out where tomorrow is better than today, we'll do it. If we can't, we won't. I did end up reading pretty much the whole quote after saying I wasn't going to, but I think there's a lot to cover.
Michael, don't
there.
worry. They've never done anything that was bad. So it'll be all good.
If
It's
any
all
fans,
good, Michael.
Have they reached out to any of the fans that's listening to this? Let us know if you've had your input to put in.
Oh,
they do send out regular surveys.
Oh, they do. Yeah, they do that kind of stuff and connect with the clubs to have them connect with the support. But I mean, again, I think this year has been quite exciting for what it is. But if you're going to do this, I mean, for me, they need to go more full blown with these smaller like halves or four quadrants or whatever in terms of like the league play, right? Like they need to have the two conferences as two total separate entities where they can play home and away.
Never the twain shall meet.
Yeah, and you meet only in the playoffs. So then you can do crazy things with playoffs, and you can have it as almost like a second season.
But that's the USL set up because it's such a big league now.
Right, and I can't even remember what the USL is currently doing. It's been so long since
I think they're at 56 clubs. It feels like in
there.
No,
but I don't know the format for like stuff or whatever. But yeah, you don't. I mean, the only reason you want to keep those 34 games is owners never want to give up dates, right? So it's like the owners want more dates, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think you can have it both ways. I really don't think it will be great for the players. I don't think it would be great to as you went listen to all those games, you're like, well, this is going to increase things by whatever 6 games or depending on how far teams go, all that. I don't think that that's the answer. I think that maybe breaking things down, having a small, if you don't value the competition, having a bit of a smaller league competition so you can have an increased playoff one could be how they could move forward. Now, I don't want that for the Canadian Premier League one day, if they ever get big enough. Like I hope they'll say no, 16 or something is our max, and we're going to go 30 league games, and we're going to have a second division and a third division and whatever. But those things are quite far off. But
yeah, I mean, the thing for me, the last thing I'll say on this about the playoffs, what makes the current format so exciting for me is it's single elimination.
Yeah.
Straight knockout.
That has been much better. Did they do that? Is this the first year or the second year?
This is the second year of it.
Yeah, because I remember last year was really good.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I know it's tough. You're one and done. Your season's over after going so hard to make the playoffs. That's the stupidity of playoffs, really. I just like it. I just think one and done, straight knockout. That's what's brought the excitement.
Yeah.
And in a group stage, you're then losing that.
Yeah.
And you're going to get more boring games because
teams
will be like, oh, I only need a draw from this. Let's sit back, blah, blah, blah.
Or you're going to have those dead rubber games where it's meaningless. And who's going to show up to that? You're in a group in the playoffs. It's your last game. It's meaningless. You're out. They're going to have empty stadiums. Like it's not going to be.
It's one of my worries for this deal with Apple because they've put a lot of investment into this league and they'll have a big say in shaping the future of the league. But we'll get into that in a future episode.
Yeah,
I think let's just knock it on the nail on the head for this. We've gone into Monday morning recording this. It's been a long weekend for me. My voice is still holding up. Before we go, any final thoughts from you, Zach? Where can folk find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at ZachGraham. You can find me on my knees praying for Fonzie's hamstring. And all seriousness, I do want to give a shout out to the whatever 150, 200 people that were at the gathering on Wednesday. It was really great to see some people. Got to talk to some people more than others.
I want to give a big shout out to Stephen and John as well. That I had a good chat to a couple of nice guys, listeners to the show.
But yeah, really another exciting moment in the lead up to the Canadian Premier League coming to the Lower Mainland, and just excited for all the chapters that will follow.
I am Michael McCall. Follow me on Twitter if you're not already at AFTN Canada, and all our stuff on YouTube, youtube.com/AFTN Canada. We'll have an extra podcast out this week in the build-up to the U Sports Nationals, UBC Thunderbirds focused. And it's still Thunderbirds week on AFTN. It's going to end up being something like Thunderbirds 9 or 10 days because I've been running out of time to get everything done. So check that out on the website as well. I've got some good interviews to come, including with Victory Shambucho. And yeah, it's been a busy time. I love this time of year, playoff time, championship time in college soccer. If you're in the the mood for taking in some football out in Langley at the Langley Events Centre on the pitch and the area that's going to be the new home to Vancouver FC. The CCAA Nationals are taking place out in Langley. They're being hosted by Lungara this year, and it's taking place up at the LEC from Wednesday to Saturday. 8 teams from across the country coming to do that one. I've got the call for a bunch of those games alongside Corey Basso. We're going to alternate in the build-up to that, and then we're both going to do the bronze medal game and the final on the Saturday. So get out and support some local soccer. It's going to be chilly, but it's going to be some good football there. Maybe hope to see some of you around there as well. But that is it for this episode of the AFTN Soccer Show. Make sure you go and download Neil Grant's Canadian World Cup song, Nobody Believed Us. Support Neil. Support our encouragement of Neil to get that song done. And yeah, let's hope Fonzie is okay. Until next time, thanks for listening. Take care. Mon the Caps. And most importantly, Mon Fonzie's hamstring.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.